Meet Jay. Yep, in this episode, I'm telling you my story. It was 6 a.m., June 22nd, 2014. My phone rang. I missed the first call. The second call was my mother. I picked up, and I'll never forget the sound of her voice. I've never heard her sound like that. She told me my father had a heart attack. The night before, they went out to dinner. My father came home, said his stomach was hurting him. The next morning, his heart stopped. And when I heard the news, it felt like mine did as well. For anyone listening who's lost a loved one, you know the kind of effect that has on you. And for me, it led to me asking a lot of questions. At the time, I was overweight. I was 20 or 30 pounds heavier than I am now. I was working at a company that paid the bills, but it offered me very little in regards to fulfillment. I didn't have any plan. I had no goals, no strategy on how to live a better life. I was coasting through my life. It's the part of my life I say I was riding on autopilot. Of course, when you lose a parent or someone who's very close to you, you have the grieving process that you go through. So I was going through that. And I began asking some deeper questions about how to deal with difficulty in life and how to live a more complete life. At the time, my daughter was 2 years old, and I was questioning whether she would lose her father in her 20s if I kept going the way I was going. And if life is as fragile as it is, what am I doing with it? At the time, I was stuck. And that began the process of seeking. And it led me to the path that I'm still on now. And in this special episode, I'm going to be sharing what I found to be the game changers in my life. How it's helped me to be the person I am today. Now that I've spoken in front of large audiences and coached professionals all over the world, I'm certain that the things that I've learned are of great value to others. And I'm excited to share them with you in this special episode. My name is Jay Abbasi, and welcome to Unstuck. Real people, real stories, real solutions. While the details are changed to protect anonymity, what you just heard is based on a true story of challenges that come up in the real world. And we discuss how to navigate these environments with practical tips to help you get unstuck and build a more fulfilling, impactful, and balanced life and career. I remember shortly after my father passing away, while I was working at that finance company, I started reading books like a madman. I was bringing books with me to my job, and during my lunch break, I would just go, on the nicer days, I'd go to the picnic tables not too far from the office, and I would just pull out a book and I would start reading and reading and reading. And the first books that I were reading were more around personal development. So I was reading things like Think and Grow Rich. I was reading Tony Robbins. I was reading Jim Rohn. I was reading Stephen Covey. And while it was very, very inspiring, I felt like there was something that was missing. I'll get to that in a little bit. But first, let me pull out some of the things that I learned from that journey of exploring personal development. And many of you I know do as well. There are many incredible resources out there. Brendon Burchard was one that I really found a lot of value from. And so much of it was around goal setting, being able to create the plan for my life, to assess my strengths, my passions, to then create routines for myself on how to optimize my physical, mental, and emotional well-being. So I started to exercise more, eat better, eat healthier diets, wake up earlier, have the morning routine, which so many people talk about, having a nighttime routine, have time for reflection. All of this was valuable. All of it. The one thing it led me to also exploring is the world of the law of attraction, manifestation. I'm not someone, by the way, who believes things easily. I could be quite cynical. When people tell me, oh, this works, I say, okay, well, let's see the evidence. Show me the research. If I apply it, will it actually work? And what I learned about visualization and manifestation was that it doesn't work the way so many people suggest it does. In other words, if I visualize something, if I tell myself, hey, now I see myself being a public speaker, let's just use that. Being a public speaker, I see myself on stage, I see myself performing in front of a large audience. It isn't as though there's some kind of magic that is happening where when I create that vision in my mind, it somehow gets deposited into the universe, where then the universe takes my own interests into its account, and then it decides to open up doors for me because I've put out that energy. I don't think it works that way at all. How I think it works is by going through a visualization or manifestation practice. What you're doing is you're evoking within your own mind and body the association to an experience. So when the opportunities present itself where you can pursue the goal that you have in your mind, your subconscious is already prepared for it so that you respond skillfully and you handle the situation really well. The same way in which when you buy a new car, you start seeing that car everywhere you go. Are those cars all of a sudden on the road now and they weren't there before? Of course not. They were always there. You just didn't notice them because it wasn't what you were focused on. But when you bought the car, it's now on your mind quite a bit. You see it everywhere. Yeah. This is how visualization manifestation works. You're tapping into something within your own subconscious mind so that you are preparing your mind and body for when the opportunities present itself, and you're going to be able to make good decisions. The other thing I think it does is help you to build up the confidence within yourself. Because when you see something in your own mind, as if you've already done it, then when you're in that setting, your mind and body go, oh, we've been here before. I know how to handle this. I know how to do this. So I learned about visualization and manifestation. I would say that was a learning process because initially I may have had these hesitations, but when I put it into practice and I learned more about it, I recognize that it's not so much of that woo-woo stuff, but more of, okay, well, how does it actually apply in a way that's useful? And I find it to be very useful now. I still do the practice to this day. And the other thing that I learned And this is now when I started to make maybe more of a transition into spirituality. So personal development, then it moved into spirituality. But one of the things I began learning was about how to let go. So often we have these rigid ideas in our mind of what things should be like. We have these attachments to certain outcomes. And because of that, you immediately are creating resistance because you're saying it needs to go a certain way. And also, how you approach pursuing goals can very much be you telling the universe what it should be like, telling the world what's supposed to happen for you. And while intention setting is useful, planning is useful, goal setting is useful, letting go is such an important component of that, because then when you can just let go, then you begin to listen. How you listen is by tapping into your intuition, tapping into what feels right in the moment. I found that learning to let go, or the word surrender is coming to my mind, surrender to what the universe is showing me, has helped me so much throughout my life. Here's an example. As I was on this journey, I set some goals of what it is that I wanted to achieve as I was transitioning even out of my time at Tesla. I knew I wanted to be in coaching, training, and I wasn't sure if it was going to be in the capacity of the corporate environment or starting my own business. Every time I went out for interviews, every time that I met with CEOs, and they were recruiting me to be their head of training or their VP of sales or something, I felt something in my gut screaming, no, not this. No, not this. No, not this. Every one of those interactions felt wrong. I would have had to convince my own intuition. And as soon as you're doing that, you're operating from a place of scarcity and fear because you're not listening. You're not listening. And I was at a Barnes & Noble one day. I was getting a little irritated because I was like, well, I'd like to have a very clear path here. Nothing feels right. And I remember the moment where I said, I'm letting go. I'm surrendering. Whatever the universe is going to show me, I will explore it. Whatever door opens, I'm going to walk through and see what's on the other side. And it was just a day or two later, an old friend at Tesla reached out. She said, hey, I hear that you're a free agent. I need some help here. Would you be open to helping me through a consultant or coach relationship? I said, sure, why not? That led to another opportunity, which then led to another opportunity, which then led to starting a business where I was coaching, consulting, speaking, and to the work that I do now 5+ years later. So it was because I started listening that these opportunities presented themselves. Now, I said something before. I want to circle back. I said there was something that was missing in the personal development piece. And as I was pursuing these things, I was going to seminars, I was really getting into personal development. The one thing that was missing was I still didn't feel at peace. I felt like I was go, go, go. I felt like there was always this flavor of I need more. It's not enough. And also the component of being really hard on myself. I felt like that wasn't helpful. It was not the way I wanted to live. So then I started to really explore more Eastern philosophies, studying Buddhism, Zen in specific, practicing meditation, which I was very hesitant about practicing meditation. I was like, that's not for me. I can't sit still. I can't sit still. I remember when I was, my mother told me when I was 2, 3, 4 years old, she's like, you didn't stop. Your energy was crazy. We couldn't ever stop you. So for me, sitting on a cushion for even 5 minutes seemed impossible. But when I started reading about the research behind it and the clear benefits and what people were saying about their own practice, it then piqued my curiosity. And I remember my early days of meditation thinking, I don't know if this is working for me. I don't know if I can keep doing this, but I kept going. And of all the things that I've learned, it is the biggest game changer in my life. And I want to be clear, I don't mean the meditations that have you zone out and just feel good and you listen to some music and you're escaping the world and you're just, oh my God, I'm on an island somewhere. I don't mean that. I mean the more boring meditation. That's I mean Zen meditation specifically. Doesn't have to be Zen, but I think Zen meditation is the most effective in my life. I've tested many different styles where it is just simply sitting and observing your breath. That's it. No headphones on. No need for someone to guide you through it. You just sit there and observe your breathing. It goes in, it goes out. It goes in, it goes out. What that did is then it helped me to have a more concentrated mind, be able to focus my mind. That's the first benefit. Then, as I continued on and I went deeper, I realized the other incredible benefit is that it helped me to see reality as it is. To see things as they truly are. Because you don't very often see things how they truly are. You see things how you are. What I mean is, and we all do this, so please don't think I'm being harsh on you, just specifically the listener, and I still have to work through this at times. We project our desires and fears onto reality. We are seeing through a specific lens. It's like wearing colored lenses in our glasses, and you're looking through them, the color of the lens is yellow, and you're seeing the world as yellow. What Zen meditation has offered me is to be able to take off those glasses and see things as they really are. And when you can see things as they really are, then you're not going to be caught up in the grip of all of your fears and all of your desires and all of your worries, because you're not caught in the illusion of what it is that your own mind is projecting onto reality. You're seeing reality as it truly is. And then the third great benefit, so I mentioned first was concentration. The second was seeing reality as it really is. The third immense benefit is to be okay with whatever happens. To be okay with whatever happens. I love the way Sam Harris put this once. He said, meditation gets you ready for the worst day of your life. And if you're doing it effectively, it is so that you can handle difficulty and be able to keep moving forward. It builds up the resilience within you. So then I had these Eastern philosophies, I had personal development. Once I paired them, my goodness, things started to really blow up in my life. Once I learned how to be able to pursue things, set goals, get after what it is that I want to do, and make the most meaningful, impactful life I can, but also to learn how to be at peace, learn how to be okay with whatever happens. The combination of these two things has led me down the path that I've been on for these 10 plus years. And I think at the core of it, if I were to sum it up in one word, the word that points to the big shift I've made is detachment. What I mean by, well, let me start by saying what I don't mean by detachment is I don't mean disassociation. I don't mean withdrawal. I don't mean being a robot and not experiencing life. People who know me know that I am quite energetic and I am quite engaged in my life and I am quite connected to the people in my life. I don't mean to go hide in a cave somewhere and don't live. That's not what I'm referring to here. I'm referring to be able to engage fully in what it is that you do, but to not need a certain outcome in order for you to be happy, in order for you to feel okay. So when you have an attachment, you're saying, I am pursuing this because that's what I believe will make me happy. In that, you are constantly chasing happiness. The other way that this could happen is there's something that you're trying to get rid of and you're saying, hey, when I get rid of this, this is going to make me happy. Well, again, you're chasing happiness. Or maybe there's something I want or something I have that I don't want to lose. I want to keep this because if I'm afraid I'm going to lose this, so I have to keep clinging on to it in order for me to be happy. Again, you're chasing happiness. When I point to detachment, I mean to be happy as you are, cultivated happiness within you that is not reliant on external things. When you have that, and then you're able to pursue what it is that you want out of preference, as a means to celebrate your happiness, as a means to be able to serve the world. That's the greatest gift I feel I've learned that I'm sharing with the world as much as possible for anyone who's willing to listen. To pursue your goals without needing it to go a certain way or getting derailed if it doesn't go exactly as you expect. So let me bring it all together. I told myself for this episode I'm just going to riff a bit, but I'll see if I could if I could summarize this with some insights and some actionable takeaways. So for insights, I think that pairing of personal development and Eastern philosophy, I think that is a wonderful way to create a meaningful, impactful life where you still pursue ways in which you can secure more income for your family and have a more meaningful life in many ways, with the practices that will allow for you to learn how to let go and not be so attached. I think that the problem with either one, when you're too much on the personal development side, is you could be super hard on yourself and super caught in needing things to go a certain way in order for you to feel happy. Now, the other side too, if you have too much of only the Eastern philosophy, you could be very happy and at peace, but there may be some components of your life that you feel are missing, such as pursuing more and achieving goals. So that's where that pairing, I think, works so well together. The second insight is detachment. Consider how you can move through your life setting goals and telling yourself, if none of these goals get achieved, I'm going to be okay. I will pursue them with vigor. I will pursue them with everything I have. But if it goes a completely different way, I'll be fine. My identity, my sense of worth, my sense of happiness is not dependent on the achievement of this goal. That's what I mean by detachment. And I guess the other insight there is to be able to not be so hard on yourself, to be present as you work through what it is that you are attempting to do. I feel like every person who tells me they're stuck, there's a component of them being very hard on themselves. So on that portion of my life that I learned how to let go of things, I learned how to not be so self-critical. I think it freed me from that sense of feeling stuck. And so being kind to yourself is the insight there that I hope to communicate. And the actionable takeaways, the first one is that visualization I was talking about. If you are able to tap into that, make that mental movie of what it is that you want to be experiencing, be able to evoke the emotion as you play the movie in your head. Remember, this isn't so that you can just put this message out to the universe and then you're just going to sit on your couch and then it's all going to come true. It's going to manifest. No, you still have to pursue it. But the way it is that you're doing it now is your mind and body are prepared for when those opportunities present themselves, and you will be able to handle them as skillfully as you possibly can. The second actionable takeaway is to meditate. I mean, please hear me out. I was the biggest cynic of this. I did not think it would help me And I now say to people, it was the biggest help in my life. It doesn't have to be anything that makes you uncomfortable in regards to clashing with any religious belief or anything along those lines. Instead, I encourage you to see it as a means to help you to, 1, concentrate your mind, 2, to see reality as it really is, and 3, to learn how to be okay with whatever happens. Don't you want that? Wouldn't you want those faculties? Well, meditation is the way to do it. I promise you, it works. And a simple meditation, remember, it's not, don't go with any elaborate, you don't need all the music and the bells and whistles. The simpler, the better. And then the third actionable takeaway, I'm going to actually go back to something I said at the beginning of the story when I was saying, or earlier in the story, I was talking about listening to the universe. Listening to the universe. Listen to what opportunities are coming up for you. Listen to your intuition. We do too much talking, We talk a lot in our heads. We're talking. Sometimes we just need to shut up in our own heads and listen. And if we can listen, the signals are there. The right decision will come to you if you're willing to listen. Join us for our next episode of Unstuck, where you will meet David. David is struggling with a combative employee, another leader on the team, where there's a lot of confrontation. The person, you could say, has narcissistic qualities, and David is struggling to navigate that environment because David has some ideas. He wants to present, he wants to assert himself, but every time he does, he's being met with a lot of resistance. So how does he navigate that environment? I'm going to be meeting with Steve Wallenhouse, who's an incredible entrepreneur, author, and just an inspiring leader, someone I've gotten to know over the years. And I am excited for you to hear how Steve recommends David handle this situation, and overall how the company could handle when there is this kind of confrontation amongst leaders. I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.